Hello, friends, and welcome to Spinning Round. Today is May the 29th, and today is the release date of this lovely album called The Boys of Dungeon Lane by the great Paul McCartney. This has been a great year if you look at 2025 and 2026 for Paul McCartney in Hamilton. I'm going to show you some footage here. This is from a friend who had taken this. Paul McCartney was playing and performing in Hamilton, and we got to see him in the bus, which is so incredible. And he was literally 2 to 3 feet away from me, and just no guards, no bulletproof glass, just one of basically just my hero driving by in a bus. And so grateful to see him, and so grateful that he would come to my hometown to perform. It was a great show. It was such a great show. And then we heard, of course, that this new album was coming out. You've probably heard lots of people talking in recently about Paul McCartney's voice, and he should not be performing. And I just find it very frustrating to hear those comments, because if you've never seen Paul McCartney perform, you're missing an incredible experience. And he's turning 84 in June, and I have to say, he is still surprising me musically with the things that he's doing, and specifically his voice. His vocal work on this album is incredible, and specifically I'm talking about the vocal harmonies that he creates on the record, but we'll get into that. So, The Boys of Dungeon Lane. Wow. First of all, the album has 14 tracks, which used to be the plan for the Beatles, that they would have 14 songs on their albums in the UK. Okay, first of all, I'm going to say I love it. Even though I, of course, love Paul McCartney, and he is one of my musical heroes and mentors, this is a great record, and this is not to be missed. It is great to hear him play various different instruments, and I think of the records he's created in his lifetime where he's done that, and they're some of my favorites. My favorite, of course, is Chaos and Creation in the Backyard, and Nigel Godrich, the producer there, did such a great job on that record. I love the sound of this record. I think it's modern, but at the same time, it's clear. The production it suits the songs. So the production serves the songs, which again goes back to the usual McCartney approach to music making. No frills, just get to it. And this is definitely a good example of that. I want to thank my friend Mark from Dr. Disc in Hamilton. He was able to get me the limited pink indie pressing, which is great. So I definitely want to do that. And of course, a shout out to another friend, Scott at Revolution Records, who got me the black, which is over there, which is exciting. So I want to go song by song just to give you an idea of my impressions of the album. The album was produced by Paul and, of course, a gentleman by the name of Andrew Watt. And Andrew is a 35-year-old American producer who has done work for Justin Bieber, Lady Gaga, Post Malone, Miley Cyrus, the great Elton John, Brandy Carlisle, and who, of course, but the Rolling Stones, Pearl Jam, Iggy Pop, and so on and so on. And he's a guitar player, and I can see that influence in how the record is recorded, but we'll get more into that in a minute. I wanted to go through the album song by song just to give you little tidbits of what I'm hearing in the record and what I like. The first song is called As You Lie There, and it's a song that basically takes... The protagonist is essentially a stalker and a voyeur and is wondering why... if this person ever thinks of them, and do you ever think of me? And it's a very powerful track, but it's also a little bit freaky. Having an almost 84-year-old singing it gives it just a bit of a creep vibe to it. However, if a 14-year-old sang it, if that was the song performer was a 14-year-old protagonist, it would make more sense. But it's his vocal performance is very much like the one he did in Nod Your Head from the album Memory Almost Full. And it's kind of a sinister vocal. So it's not just do you think of me, when you lie in your bed. It's like, do you think of me? Like, it's like, it's a surprising opening track, I have to say, but it gets your attention right away. And I do love the different sections in the song and how they connect together, and the orchestration is fabulous. but a very interesting opening to the album. The second track, Lost Horizon, I love the sound of this track. It just feels good. That sound, Paul's bass playing is classic Paul. He does these sort of slight hesitations in the rhythm, but does these glissandos going up, which is like slides up the bass, up the neck on different strings to create different tonal sounds. And it creates drama and depth in the music and in the song. And I love Paul's bass playing. And when he does things like that, it's just like, yes, it just brings me a great amount of joy. The other real star here are Paul's guitar parts he puts on this record. Love the sound of the guitar. It's powerful. It's full. Yeah. Again, great to hear him playing electric guitar and playing it. I'm sure he's playing his Les Pauls in his casino, but it's got that girth, musical girth that's fantastic. I do love the mix of the electric guitars and the acoustic guitars in Lost Horizon. And it was one of those, so it's just so good. So good. The song Days We Left Behind, that was one of the first songs that we heard that was released to the public. And again, effective instrumentation, using the piano to create that little melodic riff along with the guitar. It feels very cinematic. It feels like it I would love to see a director, a famous film director, make a movie for every song on the album. But this is very cinematic, this particular one. And there's a sense of maudlin and a sense of like reflection, but it's just a beautiful, beautiful track of letting go of the past in some ways, but embracing it at the same time. Ripples in a Pond, the next track, it feels like a song that you would hear walking into like a trendy store in the mall. The harmonic changes are awesome. It sort of changes from major to minor, and he does this really cool chromatic run to get back to the verse melody, and that's just when you go up in little, like in half steps, to create this really neat movement in the song. But very cool. It's classic pop, classic McCartney. I kind of see that as a single as well, or at least hearing it, in Urban Outfitters. There you go. Mountaintop. One of the great stars in this album is Paul McCartney's guitar playing. The opening piano eighth note bump 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 almost gives a hint to I'm the Walrus. That sort of, not as brooding, but it gives that little feeling. I think there's a harpsichord or celeste or something. There's another keyboard instrument in this track, and it kind of reminds me that I think this album is more like Paul's version of Pet Sounds, where he's picking his favorite sounds and mixing them together in unique ways. So, and he does this on Mountaintop. And in the last section, he does double time, and it feels like a punkier version of the old song Girls' School that was the B-side of Mulligan Tire. I love the ending to the song. Love it. It's great. So Mountaintop was a nice surprise. The next song, Down South, I kind of feel like it's a song you could play in any pub or restaurant or whatnot. I think this was the song for George. And the cool thing is I could have heard Paul playing this, or imagine Paul playing this on a double-decker bus, and just very simply. It's just his voice. It's a guitar, and it's a little overdub guitar, little solo line. So simple, so economical, but it shows what a great songwriter Paul is, because when you hear it, you go, yep, that's Paul. And just a perfect song, doesn't need a whole lot of orchestration. It just needs to breathe, and he does that with Down South. The next song, We Two, which closes side one, is kind of like his version, the 2026 version of his song So Bad. If you remember that, it just has that sort of feel. It's got a mellotron in it. Love it. I kind of feel too that this song would have fit very well on the White Album. Just, it evokes that sort of memory for me, which is really cool. And I love how the song ends. I love quirky things in recordings. And I don't know if you're like me, but little things, it's like, oh, that's cool. Oh, yes. For all those with ADHD, music going, hey, squirrel. Oh, yeah. I love quirky things. And the end of the song ends almost like with the sound of a tape being spooled back. In Revolution number 9 on the White Album, when the loops finish and you hear this, it's for the echo, sorry, it was not the tape loops, it's for the echo. The tape spools back and you can hear it rewinding. Something like that. Anyway, that's the sound hits at the end of that track, and it reminds me of Revolution 9. So that was very cool. Flipping the record to side 2, the first song, Come Inside, has this beautiful, simple lyric, but again comes back to what Paul McCartney is great at, writing songs that are simple but effective and reach the heart. Open up your mind, open up your heart. Nothing else is keeping us apart. And the melody and how he sets it makes it quite an emotional statement. I love the different sections of the song and how they come together. It's not disjointed. There's just this seamless connection. And they're very different harmonically, but he makes it work. Again, beautiful song. Second track, Never Know. There's a bass line that sort of is leading up to the chorus, which makes a great transition to get to that part. It's little things like that. Paul's bass playing just becomes another melodic instrument. You hear the mellotron on this one. Sounds so great. The other real star of the show on this album are Paul McCartney's vocal overdubs. Incredible. There's a groovy choral part just before the last chorus, and it's beautiful. And there is a section where I guess recorders come in and some wind instruments, and to me it gives me the feel of something that would have been off of London Town, off of that album. And I think the ending of the song, the instrumental sort of recap, feels a bit like a hello, goodbye. Not vocally, but just musically, just that sort of recapitulation, sort of the pause, and then boom, love it. Again, economical. In, out, gets his job done, moves on. Love it. The next song, track number 3, I think is probably my favorite, and it's not because it's got Ringo on it and then it's a sentimental favorite, and it also has Chrissie Hynde, one of my favorite female vocalists. It's a beautiful song, well executed, gets to the point, like melodic guitars that make sense, that come together well. It's just like, it's beautiful. It's so good. It's so amazing to see Ringo coming into his own. He's really found his voice. And his recent record, A Long Lost Road, I believe, great. I think it's one of his best ones in the last 20 years. And there's vocally, he sounds so good. He keeps getting better day after day. Again, like I said, I think he's found his voice. Love to hear Chrissie Hynde on this. And the reason, apart from her beautiful voice, is that her connection with Linda McCartney was, they were good friends. And it's kind of nice to have that female connection to Linda presented on the record. Because I grew up as pretty much a first-generation Wings fan and a second-generation Beatles fan. And so a lot of the Wings records I bought on the release date, and her harmonies and her vocal were part of my history and my growing up. So to hear Chrissie Hynde sing, although she doesn't sound like Linda, it was that nod to Linda that, oh, okay. And just to hear that female voice in a song with both Paul and Ringo, well, it just doesn't get any better. It's just definitely one of my favorite songs, and I think it's well written. Love the words, and I just think there's nothing maudlin about it. It's just a beautiful song. Okay, life can be hard. How can Paul McCartney write a song that feels like a standard was written 100 years ago? This is the gift of McCartney and his genius. This beautiful melody that's got like this harmonic sequence, which is like it changes da 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 da. So this harmonic sequence creates this lovely sort of lilt, and there's a beautiful wind arrangement in this song, and it's just catchy. It's timeless. It's another pop standard written by one of the most amazing songwriters that has ever lived. The next song, First Star of the Night, I think starts off with a recording from a demo that I think he did. I don't know, but it sounds like that. I really love when Paul uses the low range of his voice. Sometimes he loves to take the low range and sing his falsetto and put them both together. In this particular one, he uses it for dramatic effect, his low range, and It's beautiful. And again, another star of the album, his harmonies, great harmonies. And again, just listen real carefully, because sometimes it's whoever mixed the song would have said, I want to give the feel of the vocals, but not have you be aware that those vocals are singing different notes. Like it's one of those things. It creates an effect, and it's not, you don't draw attention to the individual parts, is what I'm trying to say. Great harmonies. Again, what does Paul McCartney do best but create these great vocal harmony parts? And it's such an important color on this particular song and the whole album. And like I said, so electric guitars, harmonies, Paul's vocal harmonies, those are the real stars here. And yeah, first star of the night. Love it. Salesman Saint. When I hear the trumpet, I think of Herb Alpert right away. That's just what I do. But it has that Spanish feel to it, but it's more of a romantic feel. And I mean that not in the romantic love feel, but in the romantic languages, or the real sense of romantic. Love it. When he pairs the trumpet with the guitar, I think they sound so great together. It's so good. And then later in the song, there are some brass chords that are, presented. And it gives us that impression of it being a nostalgic 40s piece. And it's beautifully done. Works. Your mind knows what Paul's getting across and what he's trying to evoke in you, and it does. And it's so great. I think it's his nod to his dad as well, which I think is really cool. And then the last song, Mama Gets By, is his nod to his mom, I think, and as well to Linda. The lyrics, she loves him with all her heart and soul. That certainly was Paul's mom, and it was Linda. Mama gets by while Papa gets high. We're gonna get... Yeah, so that fits. I mean, I know Linda enjoyed as well, but it's a lovely end to the album. It's one of those songs, it's a classic McCartney piano ballad. And it just, beautiful homage to his mom, beautiful way to end the record, subtle, just perfect. So what are my takeaways for this album? One, for the people who say that Paul McCartney should stop performing and stop singing, need to hear this record, and they need to go stop posting things on social media, because they're absolute idiots. Oh my goodness. If you've never seen Paul McCartney perform live, you're missing something. Two, this is like the feel-good summer album of the year. This is one that I think you could easily be driving with. It's a great driving record. It has memories of his previous works like Ram, even Beatles stuff, the White Album, Memory Almost Full, a solo album. There's so much here that it's almost like this album is the accumulation of all of his techniques and all of his approaches, and he's put them all together in one record, and effectively too. The vocal harmonies are phenomenal, and he sounds great. And yes, I know you can auto-tune stuff and do that, but you still have to make the sound. You still have to create it, and Paul does it, and it's beautiful. I love it when Paul creates music and does all the parts himself. It's inspiring to me when I'm making recordings to do that sort of work as well. And his guitar playing is phenomenal. Love the sounds. It's perfect. Each song feels so cinematic in scope. When I hear it, I honestly think that would have made a great film, or that would have made a great film. To steal a line from McCartney's work, we must be blessed. We live in a world where Paul McCartney is still with us. And not only is he still with us, but he's making music. Why? Because he loves making music and he wants to make it. But he also wants to share it with us. And we are so blessed to have that experience. Paul has nothing to prove anymore, but to simply be himself. It shows what an amazing songwriter he is, what a great instrumentalist he is. I love the sound of this record. It feels up to date, but it also just feels clean. And the production suits the songs and really caters to the songs. And it doesn't take it any step that it shouldn't go. It's just perfect. It's an album you need to have. As an album, if you love Paul McCartney, it's a must-have. It's worth listening to and digging deeper into. For me, this is the album of the summer. So I hope you go out and pick it up and enjoy it as much as I have, and I know that I'm going to be listening to it all summer in the car. Thank you so much for watching. I know it's been a long time, but I'm hoping to do more videos as things happen, and life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. So tell me what you'd like to see on the channel. I know that some of you really had enjoyed the comparisons of different mixes that have been done recently in the Beatles repertoire. I'd love to know what you'd like to see. So put a comment just letting me know what you'd like to see, what you'd like to hear, and look forward to seeing you very, very soon. So until next time, keep spinning. We'll talk soon.